Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from Skiessentials.com.
I'm Bob, how's it going?
Up here on the 2024 Black Crows Atris. I would say today is not your typical Atris day. We just went through another little thaw-freeze cycle here, although I suppose we're a few days after the freeze.
Yeah.
But it's still fun to get back on them. We've had a lot of really good days on these over the past 2 to 3 weeks. Black Crows was here. We had some special guests we can introduce a little later in the video. I had them in nice soft snow. We've had them in some springy snow.
Yep.
Groomers. Super fun. It changed for this year, for the 2023 season.
Yep.
For next year, for 2024, we just get this new graphic. We had wanted to do a 2023 Atris review, and it was just one of those skis that never fitted in.
Yeah, we just kind of ran out of time and opportunity, but
Totally.
I think we got good stuff for it this year.
100%. And you'll probably see some footage on the teal ski, the 2023 ski, in this video. So I'm going to see what I can do on the rest of this run here. I guess it's at least fun to see how they do on really firm ice.
All right.
These people just flying by.
It's very fast out here.
It's very fast. So we'll see how fast these things can go. And then we'll meet you back in the studio and chat more about them. Hey skiers, here we are back in the studio to chat more about these Black Crows Atris skis. Tough conditions on that day that they saw in the intro there.
Well, you can't win them all.
No.
And we did have other good days on them. So
Totally.
I'd say out of the handful of days, more of them were Atris specific versus non.
Yeah, no, we're lucky
Yeah.
up here in northern Vermont. I think compared to the rest of New England, we've been doing okay this season for snow, especially in the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that.
Yep.
And yeah, we've really had some good conditions for testing these skis. As I mentioned in the intro, this is the 2023 ski here. You may have seen that in our ski test videos, in the ski test write-up. We did talk about it a little bit in other situations last season. Never got around to a full-length, in-depth review, and it was definitely on our list. So kind of fun that we now have the opportunity to just kind of carry that over to 2024. And you've got that 2024 ski right there.
Yeah, same sidewall color. They just changed the top sheet, but same ski overall.
Yep, yeah.
Just a different graphic.
Yep, so we got fairly substantial changes for 2023 for this season in this ski here. I don't know that we need to go through like the big details there.
Yeah.
Kind of one of the bigger things was that we dropped waist width from 108 to 105. So to me, that did a couple things. It helped make the ski feel a little bit quicker, and it also made it at least a little bit more versatile where we live.
Yeah, and then also in terms of Black Crow's line, kind of split the difference a little bit better between Camex and Anima.
Totally.
So I think that it's a better fit for Black Crows as a brand. The added benefit of us here in Vermont, where we don't need that 108 for most days, but a 105 seems more palatable for.
It's just, I don't know if it's
sounds
mental
better,
or,
yeah.
I think we ski a lot of skis that are 102, 104 around here, so mentally and emotionally making the jump to 105 is a little easier than making the jump to 108. But Bob, you've got the new ski over there. Do you want to run us through construction real quick, and then we'll kind of look at the shape of these skis? And I would say that neither one of those things is extraordinary in the sense that it's wildly different.
No, but they do tie in together really well. I think that
100%.
that's, that was a big part of the written piece, was that they complement each other, that the construction complements the shape in a ski like this really, really well. And from an ingredients perspective, we're really just dealing with poplar wood in the core and then fiberglass laminates. Not a whole lot going on here. as Jeff wanders off to get the scale. But they use it in a...
I was going to put a clip right there so they didn't know I was walking off
Sorry.
camera. You blew it.
The magic of editing. But yeah, they use that build in a really effective way. They also use their semi-cap sidewall.
I love these, like more and more popping up. We just looked at Playmaker that has some kind of a similar look to it.
Yeah,
I think it's cool.
Anytime that you're putting this type of construction into a ski, you're really highlighting kind of the dual nature. You know, that's the thing, is that we have that sidewall on the lower half that really helps with the edge grip and the stability and the sturdiness, and then that cap on the top, especially in the underfoot zone. It does taper to, you know, more sidewall. I mean, it's a 360-degree sidewall on this ski, but it does taper in, so it's more cap underfoot, and that really helps with the pivoting and the smearing and kind of the more non-directional aspects of the ski.
Yeah.
And then that kind of lines up well with the shape. So pretty simplistic construction, poplar and fiberglass, but then how does it marry with this new shape that we're seeing here?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We were just kind of chatting about it before we started filming here, and we agreed that the correct description of this ski is a freestyle-inspired directional freeride ski.
It's a nice long list.
Which is really confusing. Yeah. But no, it definitely is a directional ski, and it definitely does have some freestyle influence. So, you know, we're looking at tip rocker there. It's a substantial amount of tip rocker. There are skis in this width range with more, say QST 106, something like that, but there aren't a lot with substantially more.
Right.
And then flip it over and look at the tail here. May not come through on camera as well as it does in person, but that's noticeably shorter tail rocker.
Yeah.
So that's really where you're getting kind of the directional nature of this ski, and I think it absolutely comes through in how they feel when you ski them. I think they've got like a considerable amount of strength back here in the tail, which is pretty cool. 20-meter radius, so not like the straightest ski in the world, not a crazy side cut either. I think it's a really nice place to be for a ski like this. And then just really subtle early taper. You know, it's a very modern shape. There's nothing crazy here. I think we're starting to, or at least most manufacturers are starting to pull back a little bit from like the really aggressive 5-point side cut, super early taper stuff. But you do still get the benefits of early taper, you know, a shorter effective edge on firm snow or in like a tricky technical mogul line or a tricky technical couloir or something like that. So a little bit quicker, but not taking out so much mass up there that the ski gets a little twitchy and unstable. Right. So I think it's pretty cool, and I think it's awesome when a ski like this can be built in, at least on paper, a fairly simplistic way. Mm-hmm. Black Crowes has really high quality manufacturing, so it's like, it feels insulting to say that it's like simplistic.
Right.
But, you know, there's no H-shaped metal in here. There's nothing like that. It's a pretty straightforward construction.
There's no fiberglass mousse.
Right.
Seeing some other Black Crowes skis or.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even like, I don't know. There's plenty of other skis from Black Crowes or from other manufacturers that just, it seems like there's more going on in their build. But when you get this thing on snow, I would say it's the opposite. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, really nice energy. You know, I think we kind of saw that in the difference in the shovel taper and then the tail, where this is even straighter. You know, the taper is less in the tail than it is in the tip. Yeah. And that's giving it a lot of energy out of the turn.
Yeah, you feel it back there.
Yeah, and that's kind of I think that's a huge improvement over the previous version of this ski, the 108, where, you know, I don't like saying planky, you know, all that much for skis, but this is a lot livelier.
I agree.
Than that older version, and a lot of it has to do with just the narrowing, tightening up of the footprint, and just making it a little bit more easy to get out of that turn. And I think that tail goes a long way.
We skipped over weight there in construction, but under 1,900 grams, this is the 178.4.
Yep.
how did you think they feel on your feet in terms of like weight and quickness and stuff like that?
Lighter. This one I think gets close to 2,000 grams, the 184.
Yep.
And for a ski without metal, that's on the heavier side.
Yep.
Whenever we see these epoxy heavy skis with that fiberglass, we're going to see the additional weight. But it doesn't feel that way, mostly due to that nice energy that you get out of it. So with the fiberglass, yeah, you're getting a little bit of weight, but that material is a lot more poppy than metal per se.
Yeah.
So having that mix of construction with the shape makes a lot of sense for this ski.
Yeah. Something that I found that I think was just like skier weight and ski length dependent was I skied that length quite a bit.
Yep.
And that kind of feels like a lot to me. So it's really interesting. That's why I wanted your take there on like quickness and how heavy they feel, because they felt a little heavy to me. Not necessarily in a bad way by any means. They're just like, it kind of surprised me. Like when I think about the Atris, I think about playful skiing and popping off natural hits and stuff like that, or even skiing switch. And I was impressed by their overall stability. I thought it was more ski than I remembered it being, which I thought was really cool. And like a stark contrast from something like that Playmaker 101.
Sure.
That to me felt like so light and easily flickable, but there was a limit to how fast you could ski it. And I almost felt the opposite on those, not quite full opposite, but I definitely felt like I was giving up some just pure quickness in favor of some stability, which I suppose arguably makes it just a little bit more well-rounded ski than something that's really lightweight like that, depending on how you like to ski. It could kind of be too much for somebody.
And like, I've been all over the map this year, I think, with length preferences, and I actually really like this in the 190 more than the 184, which
we had at our media shoot day.
Yeah. And I think that the smoothness of that length in this ski is a standout for me. Like, I don't want this for my maneuverable quick ski.
So it sounds like you feel the same way on the 190 as I feel on that ski.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking quite a bit, like if I was buying it as an East Coast tree ski, I might go with this, with the 178, which I haven't skied nearly as much. I have skied it in past years, or last year. I shouldn't say past years, because it was just last year. But yeah, I think I would go with this 178 if I was here on the East and buying it for myself and was going to ski it off-piste a lot. If I was out West, 100% I would go with that one.
Yep.
And it does kind of change the personality of the ski. I feel like we just kind of chatted like off the cuff about how it feels. So why don't we just take a moment to run through our typical range of performance applications. Groomers, what do you think?
Smooth, that's the highlighting character, is that you put it in on edge and it's gonna go with you. And I think that's a compliment to that 20-meter radius. Like, it's right in that skier input range. Like, where you decide to go with it is where it's gonna go. It doesn't fight back. It has pretty good grip. I mean, we got it on a pretty soft groomer day for one of our media days. That was pretty stark contrast to the day that we filmed the intro, which was
totally
a little bit different.
Sugar.
And that's not what this ski is meant to do.
No, they almost feel a little bit like tank-like on a groomer to me. Like they're just it's a big ski. You kind of just let it run and
I like that in the same way that I like a Solomon Stance 102.
Yeah, actually, very similar.
Really just let it run, and that's a good example of a ski that uses metal and achieves the same thing as this, which has a more playful personality. So I mean, you're not buying this thing to rip groomers, but the fact that it does a reasonable job, especially in softer groomers, is just bonus. It's just big bonus points when a wider, more free ride oriented ski can carve a turn.
So just bonus points there on groomers. We did get it in a lot of soft snow. I thought Off-Piste performance was really, really good. Again, like for me, being on that ski, it didn't feel like the most nimble thing in the world, but it was a really nice mix of feeling maneuverable enough. It didn't feel like I was on like a ski with a flat tail or something like that. Or maybe not, maybe maneuverable is not really the better word, like forgiving. Like if I made a mistake, I could correct that mistake pretty easily instead of feeling like I was being punished.
No, I think I think you're right. And like the flex is like, it's reasonably flexible, but again, it's got a sturdy tail shape. You know, it's like that mix of flex pairs well with the tail.
I do feel like it's stiffer underfoot. Like there's
more material there.
There's some beef to it underfoot there, and then you get those supple tips and tails, which I think at my weight, that's really where I was gaining some of that stability, is that strong feel underfoot. But no, it's super fun. I mean, it's a cool ski for off-piste skiing. Like I could totally see it being a daily driver for out west, because you can take it into tight terrain, you can get it to maneuver. I think you skied it in like some really, really flat trees, and it was fine. Totally fine. The days are just blending together, so I hope that was on this ski. But it did that really well. And then we had Tucker from Black Crows with us, and he was just like launching off the horse barn pitch of our race course with powder on it, and like kind of just blasting through powder. And that basically did that all day.
Yeah, and that was a cool day because it was a mix. It was really soft, dry, pretty
super
deep,
light.
You know, deep pockets. And it went from deep pockets to not as deep. So, and that happens a lot in the real world. Where you're not dealing with, you know, a blank canvas of, you know, waist deep snow.
Right, it's like a mix.
If you're a resort skier, you're going to run into variable snow conditions and terrain a lot of the time.
Yeah, and I thought this handled that resort powder situation really, really well. You know, and I think if you bumped up to the Anima, which is the ski that I think Tucker skis most often, or the Nocta, and you skied it on a similar like variable powder day, whether east or west, you know, you're still going to hit stuff no matter where you are in the country or in the world. I think those skis would have felt a little bit washier, and just like, instead of skiing the whole mountain on skis like that, you're like getting from point A to point B to make like, oh, I got to get 7 turns right there and then cut back over there, try and get over to that powder field. So yeah, I thought that was really cool. It was also really fun watching Tucker just kind of bounce around on them. And it's funny, like, you know, he spends all his time on wider skis. We spend most of our time on narrower skis. So to him, it was like this tiny little twig. And to me, it's like this big ski. So I thought that was cool and kind of a fun contrast. Took him through the park a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, it's a freestyle-inspired ski. There should be some type of, it should have tricks in its bag.
Sure, yeah. We did similar things on, like Ranger 102 last year, just to kind of test that park application for a more directional ski. Obviously did it with Playmaker. I think it's very easy to say and very fair to say that Playmaker falls more into the freestyle world. Doing it on this was nerve-wracacking.
You did a 360, and you never do 360s.
It was my first 360 of the year. We never talk about these things, but I have hurt my right leg a lot in my ski career, if you can call it that. It's much easier for me to land a switch in the park. So if you're wondering, like, why does Jeff land backwards all the time? Because it's better on my knee. So I was not planning to do a 360 until I was about 7 feet in front of the jump, and was like, these skis are kind of big. Like 184 in a 105 foot ski is big for the park for
with
me.
the demo binding on it too. So
it's pretty hefty. And I was like, okay, I got to do a 360. We also like went through the mini park on them. That was cool. Like, I think they do that stuff really well if you're just looking to like get into the park and kind of bounce around and do some 180s. Just don't expect it to feel like a park ski. Like, I think that's very fair, and doesn't need to, because Black Crows has Cactus and Camex, and both of those skis excel in park application. So totally fine that this is not not a park ski.
Right.
It's a freestyle-inspired directional freeride ski.
Again, it's bonus points. Like
Yeah,
whatever you can get out of
yep.
this thing,
Yep.
in addition to what it's meant to do, I think is just a real nice positive for this ski.
Yeah, so pretty darn cool. To me, it's not quite light enough to put like a touring binding on it, but I could totally see somebody throwing a Shift or a Duke PT 16 or 12 on there. I wouldn't point at that person in the lift line. I try not to do that anyways.
But say they're doing something wrong.
I certainly wouldn't do it in that scenario. I'd be like, oh, look at that.
Right.
They're doing some touring on their Atris.
Yep.
But yeah, really cool mix of being playful and maneuverable, but also kind of strong. Got that wider tail shape that you pointed out. I think is really cool. It's got some heft to it.
Yeah.
It's a trustworthy ski. And there's a lot you can do on it.
I thought it was handy in the woods to have that more, free ride inspired shovel, and then the more directional tail.
Like the longer rocker, a little bit of taper.
I felt that worked really well in the trees around here.
Yeah.
And there were no complaints, when your turns got tighter, when they got wider, anything like that.
No, it lets you kind of steer the ski where you want it to go very easily without any complaint or any issue from the ski's side.
No, I think this is really well designed for wood skiing, for sure.
Yeah, east to west.
Yep, doesn't matter.
Yep.
Great option.
I agree 100%. Like I think this would be a great little two-ski West Coast quiver. Atris and Nocta.
Right.
Just go for it.
Go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that new Nocta's looking pretty sweet too.
Yep.
I don't know that we have the snow conditions to test that thing yet, but
maybe on Thursday.
Maybe on Thursday. Some snow in the forecast.
For one run.
Yeah, right. That'll be tracked out. So anyways, that's the 2024 Atris. This is the 23 Atris. As always, let us know if you have any questions about either of them, although between the two, the question would just be like, which color do I like more?
I like that one more.
Oh, that's fun. I like that one more.
Oh, cool.
Great. Glad that we're evenly split on that.
Sorted it out.
But yeah, let us know if you have any questions about them. More than happy to talk more about it, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye.